They are an accident waiting to happen.
Stephen A, hush your mouth, talking all that noise. You can hate all you want, but we still them boys. Dirty, dirty D, Texas where we stay at. We decide in order till you know that's where we play at. Hey, this year, this the payback. Yeah, we them Cowboys, and nah, we don't play that. Work. This is Cowboy Nation. Work. Welcome to Cowboy Nation. Work. Y'all can keep on hate. Work.
Cowboys Nation, Cowboys Nation, Cowboys Nation. Man, watched a little football yesterday, and it is time to get ready for the New York Football Giants. And this podcast is going to be about what our offense needs to do in order to win this game. If you've watched our projections, this is definitely a game that the Cowboys are supposed to win. We expect for the Cowboys to win, but they still have to do their job. You can't just show up and not do anything and still expect to get the W. Okay, so what does the offense need to do? Well, first of all, we go back to the game yesterday when the Giants played the Commanders, not the Redskins, the Commanders. I'm still struggling with that. Don't worry about it. I'm going to get it right. But when they played the Commanders, and in the fourth quarter, it was 14-6. The Giants had the ball. They actually still had an opportunity to win that game. Now, unfortunately, Russell Wilson and the Giants offense couldn't put the ball in the end zone, but they had an opportunity going into the fourth quarter. So that means a couple of things to me. That means either the Giants defense is way better than we're giving them credit for, or the Commanders offense isn't that good at all, right? So for the sake of this game, we're going to give the benefit of the doubt to the Giants defense. And what we're going to say is that the strength of the Giants defense is their defensive line, right? Dak isn't Jaden Daniels when it comes to using his legs. I'm not saying Dak can't use his legs. He got the little funny run thing where his feet kind of go out like that, right? And he starts to run. But he can still use his legs, right? He can still move around, but he's not Jaden Daniels. He's not Jalen Hurts, not Lamar Jackson when it comes to using his legs. And a lot of the times, that's what bailed out the Commanders, was Jaden Daniels being able to use his legs when nobody else was getting open. So that brings me to the very first point of what the offense of the Cowboys need to be able to do in order to win this game. And it starts with the offensive line. The offensive line needs to be able to protect Dak. Now, we could say that pretty much for any game, right? This isn't an exclusive take just for the Giants, right? We can say that for any game. I think in this game that we're supposed to win and supposed to win, defiantly. I think it actually means a little bit more because the Giants' defensive line is almost kind of all that they really have, right? So if we can protect Dak, then the thought process is that our CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens will do a better job than their Terry McLaurin and Deebo Samuels. That's what the thought process is. They don't have cornerbacks or secondary personnel that can handle our wide receiver duo. And so the expectation is CD is catching the important balls, and maybe there are no important balls because we're already so far ahead. But, Jake Ferguson is catching and George Pickens is catching, and there's not a lot that the Giants would literally be able to do if we're running on all cylinders like we were against the Philadelphia Eagles. So that's the number one thing, is that we need to be able to protect. There was a lot of pressure coming from the New York Giants before this game against the Commanders. I was in a couple of rooms as far as TikTok rooms, right, where the Giants fans were talking, and they're very proud of their defensive line. As a matter of fact, they made the statement that their defensive line was the top defensive line in the NFC East. And they made that based off of the Philadelphia Eagles and the Cowboys game that Jalen Carter was not playing in. But they still felt like they have the best defensive line in the entire NFC East. And I don't know. That could be true. It could not be true. The defensive line definitely looked good. I don't know if it's because the Commanders' offensive line wasn't as good. And I know they worked all offseason to try to make that offensive line a little bit better. But I did see a lot of pressure. And if we can avoid that for the Cowboys, I think that would be the number one thing. Staying with the offensive line, though, being able to establish the run also assist us because they can't just pin their ears back and come after the quarterback. So if our offensive line can create the holes and create the opportunities for Williams to continue to run the way that he ran, I think he'll have better stats this week than he did last week. The stats didn't really jump off the screen for him, but he did play a great game, right? Javonte Williams played a very good game, but the stats didn't necessarily show him. I think he'll actually be able to get the stats in this game that he wasn't able to get in the game before. I personally believe, look, Schottenheimer spoke all offseason about competing, being ready, going into games prepared for competition. I made statements when we had our 53-man roster, and people were like, well, you can't say Shotty has to do anything. Well, I actually can say whatever I want to say. Free country, you know what I mean? But here's the thing. You can't sit up. This is what my argument was when I said James Houston had to make the 53-man roster, right? I said that and everybody was like, well, he doesn't have to make it. And I was like, yeah, Shotty cannot sit up and say, you got to compete, you got to come in, you got to compete every day, and then have someone that comes in and competes every day and not give him the job, right? Well, this statement is going to be the opposite of it. I've already said it 17 times since the last game. We got to sit down Miles Sanders. We have to bring up Jaden Blue. That home run hitting running back that you're looking for is not in Miles Sanders. That linebacker for the Eagles runs about a 4.6. He ran down our running back. That means he doesn't have the breakaway speed, the juice that you expect for him to have. At this point, you might as well bring back Deuce Vaughn. I know it's too late for that, but I'm just saying, Miles Sanders is not him. We need to bring in Jaden Blue. We need some home run hitting ability, and he actually has it. And Shotty can't sit up and say that he's going to put the best people in an opportunity to help us win and then continue to play Miles Sanders. He can't do it. It would mean that everything that he spoke about during the offseason was a lie, okay? He needs to bring in Jaden Blue so that we can establish a home run hitting. And again, like I said yesterday, we're not asking for Blue to be the starter. We have faith in Javonte Williams. We feel like he can do his job, okay? But as far as backups are concerned, we need to be able to bring in Jaden Blue. And there were some people who obviously talked about the fumbles. I spoke about this yesterday. I mean, Miles Sanders fumbled. I mean, I was only talking about the fact that he got ran down, but he did fumble on the very next play because coach didn't take him out the game, knowing that he had to have been tired. Old man running 50 yards. Yeah, he was gassed. Of course, he can't hold on to the ball the next time. But Miles Sanders has, when you compare him to the other running backs who've had over 900 carries in a career, with the Derrick Henrys. And I mean, he's put the ball on the ground more times. I'm not going to say a lot of times, but he has put the ball on the ground at a higher percentage rate. I think I pulled up 1.18 when a lot of the other guys are like 0.9. and things like that. So, and you do have some guys like Swift was like 1.3 who puts the ball on the ground more than Miles Sanders, but at the end of the day, I don't think that holding on to the football is the issue that we can really argue when it comes to whether or not it should be Miles Sanders or if it should be Jaden Blue. I think it's I don't know. I think it's an obvious thing, right? So just to start wrapping it up, their secondary cannot keep up with our wide receivers, with our tight ends. I think that we ought to be able to get Turpin into the pass offense a little bit this week. I think that will actually, open up a few things that we may or may not have had this past week, trying to get him the football. And I think that we should, open it up for our linebackers and things in the middle as well. There's no way that the Giants defense should be able to stop the Dallas Cowboys offense this week unless we just can't protect Dak Prescott. But as long as we can protect him, then I think that this should be easily one of those 40-point games. This is Defending the Boys. I am D. Will. I will see you next time. I'm out.